Hi, and welcome to It's Meaningless. This is the podcast for entrepreneurs, for startup entrepreneurs who are stuck and are tired of facing or tired of facing. Hey, I'm a little bit rusty. Uh, so getting back into the swing of things. Anyway, this is the podcast for startup entrepreneurs who are tired of stuck and are ready to face the brutal truth. Here we uncover the meaningless daily habits that keep you from growing and scaling um, both in life and in business. This is, like I said, I stopped counting. Actually, so I've been doing something a little new on streaming, and in fact, I need to make sure we're 100% live, doing a couple things here at the same time. So I'm using a little bit of a newer, well, new for me, um, streaming method. I used StreamYard before, which is not a plug. They're okay. They're actually, I think they're really good if you're interested in podcasting for kind of getting started. Uh, I did the paid version, which is not that bad. It's like $20 a month or something like that. Um, but they do have a free version too. Um, and in fact, yeah, I think we're good. We're good on that. Um, what I still don't see is where we are. Or we're streaming yet. Actually, because I tried this the other day, I got a whole episode out, which reminds me to remember. Actually, cancel that. Save that. I'll start. Yeah, got a whole episode out, or I did a whole episode, and then wind up realizing like I got in and it streamed for all of 29 seconds. Streamed for all of 29 seconds on YouTube, and then the rest of it I was just talking. The other 29 minutes plus, I was just talking without um, without it being streamed and without me recording either. So it was like I couldn't even go back and put it on. So I'll try to avoid at least one of those today. I've got to at least have a recording going. But anyway, so last checked, we are live. So yeah, live, looking good, looking good. Um, so yeah, um, again, glad to be back. Um, for me, I was back last week, but uh, unfortunately, for anyone watching, I'm back. So um, anyway, uh, today, at least this episode, the focus on this. I started this out as um, the number one reason for the number one growth hindrance to growth for entrepreneurs, and I do believe that's true. I do believe it's true. Um, but this one I'm calling letting go. Just because today I'm like, man, it's one of those days. uh, it's one of those days. Um, but yeah, this I think you could look at this from the perspective of what is like what what is yeah, what I guess what keeps you from growing? So a lot of people have this thing where, and I have had it, and there are areas in which I still have it. Um, just areas in which, like, you plan, you push, but it's like it seems to always be some level that you can't really go past. And for most of us, it's um, that's not like for most of us that's not all of life. In fact, I don't think for most people it's not all of life. Um, but at the same time, there are very few people that I've run into that are crushing it like all over the place everywhere. Um, which, like, if that's you, kudos, kudos. Uh, share a little something. Um, but what I've realized is a lot of times when you're experiencing that ceiling that you just kind of like, mm, I don't know what this is. Like, I don't know where this is coming from. I don't know what the reason is for this. A lot of times it's because of this issue, which is we're talking about today, which is effectively, like I said, I call it letting go, but you can otherwise refer to it as, um, well, it's letting go, but as forgiveness. Um, and I'm not going to go too deep necessarily um, into what it is and how it works, but I want to focus a little bit more on a little more, I guess, the practical application. Like um, why and what, why this is important and what it actually produces. Um, so the thing that I had I think I actually shared about um, yeah, I think I shared it in another episode about a riff I had with some coworkers some years ago. Um, couple new programmers. Well, weren't new to programming, but they were new to this organization. New hires. Um, a company I was working with um, as a programmer there, and um, they hired on a couple additional programmers, um, and um, they hired a couple additional programmers. One of them they assigned to be team lead, which um, I wasn't like I was there with another developer. We were both I want to say contractors, but as in uh, we were employees of another company, and so we were there. We weren't full time, so we were. I think we were each there like 2 maybe 3 days a week. Um, so like we had other projects and stuff that we were working on. So we weren't there for all of our working time. So this company decided to hire on a couple of contractors that were full time for them, and so one of them they picked to be the team lead. Um, so anyway, I had been working there, I don't know, for a few months or so um, before these other guys came on, and it was on some existing software, um, and we were, I don't know, doing a bunch of little projects and things, um, and so we had a little, um, we had, of course, each of us had our explicit or individual assignments um, to do. And so one of the things that um, we actually, so we got to a place where we were working on, I guess I was working on this particular assignment. I forgot what it was about, but I was working on this assignment, and in setting up the whole team lead position, we got to a place where we were starting to do kind of like check-ins, just to kind of see like where everybody was, kind of get status, that kind of thing. Um, and so I think we had a meeting to go over kind of statuses um, of where we were, where everyone was on different assignments that we were working on. So I submitted my statuses, and um, yeah, I submitted my statuses for the tasks that I was assigned, and I don't know, a few days later, a couple days later, whatever it was, I get called into the manager's office, um, and he's like, "Well, so the team lead is is effectively saying that you're not as close to being finished with these tasks as you say you are." So um, he asked me to go in the conference room and with the team lead and the other new hire to to show him what was what. So we went into to to that meeting, and now like I'm thinking about it now. Like there is a technically he probably did this the right way, um, in terms of what he did, bringing it up. Although, well, not really, but and this is definitely a conversation about letting go. So we'll get to that in a minute. But uh, I think he could have done it better. I'll put it like that. But uh, let's just say he definitely had some legitimacy in, or he not definitely, but he could have like realistically had some legitimacy in asking um, like what was really going on behind the scenes and what I was doing. So anyway, we go in the conference room to go over the progress, go over the work, and I just kind of walk through and show them where everything is and how things work and that kind of thing. Um, but really, by that time, like I'm on the livid side, like very, 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 very. I'm, I'm, I'm miffed. Like I said, I think he could have. Um, on one hand, like he, yeah, he could have done it a little better. On the another hand, like um, he was right for asking, um, but part of it was probably with me and picking up that uh, um yeah, and that was kind of, I guess it was part of me picking up kind of um his bent, as in like and this was how things kind of wound up turning out going forward, and with that throughout like us working together. Um, he didn't take too many risks in terms of like actually doing work. Um, and so he was hired on as um, a developer, um, as a senior developer. Um, and I said is like he kind of holds a team lead role, but more like is he was hired on more to develop. Um, but what wound up happening a lot is uh, he, like I said, he didn't take too many risks on the development side. So like if anything was like um, if anything was like tricky or whatever, like he would stay away from those types of tasks. Um, but at the same time, like he had this thing of he wouldn't shy away from. It was as if like, I don't know, there are people like this, but it was as if it made him, by making other people look bad, it made him look good. And that's the thing I kind of picked up on in our, I guess probably before our meeting, and then in our meeting, that this is probably another one of those attempts to, I don't know, make somebody look bad, smear somebody so that he could, I don't know, get some points or whatever. But um, that, yeah, that that situation is really one of those things why I say like, and I'll finish here in a bit, but that's one of those things why I say that it's important to, this whole letting go thing is important, because in other words, what we hold on to from this person back here, this other person back here, like will go on in a, into our like our future. It'll affect the things that we do going forward. It'll affect the decisions that we make. It'll affect the risk, the amount of risk, the level of risk that we're willing to take. Um, and in business in general, like taking risk is taking risks is a, to be good is a necessity. Um, and definitely if you're talking about being the leader of the business, like you have to. Um, like you have to take risks to climb the corporate ladder. Like how much more you have to take risks to run the organization. So um, that's the thing. So the whole the whole thing about not letting go or holding on to the past keeps us from jumping when it's time to jump. From jumping out there, from doing something new, from taking a risk, um, which feels safe, and like a bunch of people do it. They float by. Yeah, like I can't, like, I'm saying, like for me, like I couldn't ever do that. I personally couldn't ever do that because for me, I get bored too easy. Uh, to just like coast, um, and yeah, I get bored too easy to coast. Um, so I realized that, kind of back to the story that I was telling you about. I realized in that situation, like I told you, I was completely nuts. So in that meeting, we went through the meeting. I got to the end, showed him everything, um, and then I just let him have it because like, why in the world? Like, both of y'all are new here. Um, why in the world are you gonna bring up into question like what I what I did and what I haven't done? Um, and frankly, like I said, like in some level, like he had the right to ask. It probably would have been better for him had he asked me personally, like as opposed to going to the manager first, which at that point is like that that is what kind of makes it a little not so sure about this. Um, but yeah, he could have done that, and at the same time, um, it mm, it wasn't exactly helpful. Oh gosh, no, and I'm like it wasn't exactly helpful for me to respond the way I did. Um, so let's just say like I made it out of the conference room, like nobody got hurt. uh, when I say I let him have it, like I'm just I don't know, I pretty much just kind of like yeah, effectively just putting it in his face as to like why in the world would you dare to do something like this, which like I said wasn't exactly the best attitude for me either. um, but what I've had to realize, actually, that experience taught me something because, in other words, that wasn't the last encounter. It was the last time he tried that because effectively that left him looking a little, maybe a little, um, like he didn't know what he was talking about. Because at the end of the day, I did in fact have exactly what I told them I had. Um, but that that didn't stop like it didn't stop him from being the way he was. So like mm, so for about the next year to well about another year and a half, something like that. Um, like we still had to work together. We still had to work together. Um, well, didn't have to. Like he could have left, I could have left, but I would. That wasn't. I would. I guess that would have been a little dumb. Um, a little bit dumb. Um, no, and I'll put it like this. So, one of the things I started to see a lot more lately, and it's not like it's new, but I think maybe it's just more so, is people deciding to just like break out of um, like leave jobs, leave business engagements, effectively break up some business arrangement because something happened, because they got angry, because whatever, like you pick it. And there's on some level I've been prone to do something like that. Um, I think in most cases, a lot of cases I have not, but in most cases I think, and thankfully, it's probably not to my credit necessarily, but in most cases I've seen ahead of time like maybe that's not a good idea to just be offended because I'm offended about this one thing to go ahead and just throw the whole thing out. Um, but unfortunately, these days, like it's happening more and more. and I'm saying this I'm saying this even from personal experience. Like, there are things that I've like, even things that I've waited on for a long time, um, which I thought, okay, it might be a good idea to go ahead and sever this, and wound up later on realizing, no, that wasn't a very smart idea. Um, in other words, giving up things that are of value, but in the moment I can't see their value because I'm too stuck on, oh, they offended me in this way. Um, which I guess that kind of goes back to dealing with people, but like, in dealing with people, the thing is realizing that people are gonna offend you. Um, and this isn't supposed to be like tough love. Um, it's just the truth. Um, it's just the truth. Like, people are gonna upset you. They're gonna offend you. They're gonna do stupid stuff. Um, just like we will do stupid stuff. Like, just like I do stupid stuff. Other people are gonna do stupid stuff. Um, and it's just like, how do we, like, what do we do from there? Um, like, it's sometimes it is time to say, okay, look, that's the end of this relationship. But usually that's after, like, and this is super, just being practical. Usually that's after, like, repeat it, and within that repeated, like, I'm letting you know, hey, look, this isn't cool. How can we work this out? How can we get this corrected? Um, but usually it's after that, and they continue and they continue and they continue. Um, but most of the times, like, there's an opportunity, there's a way to say, hey, look, um, I don't like this particular thing right here, but is there a way to preserve the broader relationship, because there is something of value here? Um, and I'm starting to see that less and less these days, which is sad. Um, and so when we're talking about growth, and this is why I would say that, um, this is why I would say that this topic here is probably the number one uh, hindrance to people growing, is because, like, if we miss it on this one, we can be in situations where we have significant chunks of our business, like, in the balance, and um, yeah, we have significant chunks of our business in the balance, and we wind up throwing it away because we got mad at somebody in the moment. And don't get me wrong, like, it, this has nothing to do with the level of intensity of how mad you were at the person, and even not even necessarily how justified you were in being angry at them. It's just a question of value. In other words, at the end of the day, is the level at which the person has offended me, offended the relationship, um, is that level of value on par with the level of value of the total relationship? In other words, is their breach large enough to justify um, just completely nixing the whole relationship? And um, when we get in situations like that, like, that could mean, it could literally mean the end of your business, because, in other words, you cut out a chunk of your business, whether it's a vendor, that is someone who's providing you services, you got a great rate, you got a good deal, if it's a client um, who's provided a good chunk of your business, um, or a client or industry, whatever it is, um, and you don't have like a way already, like a super solid way already to replace that, then like it could put your business under, and it could put your business under only for and just for the fact of, hey, I couldn't, this guy offended me and I couldn't let it go. Um, yeah, this person offended me and I just couldn't let it go. Which, at the end of the day, like if that is if that's what the I guess if that's what the decision is, then um, I, I don't. I guess that's it's kind of one of those things is where it's like I don't know what to say after that. I mean, and don't get me wrong, like I've been in that situation before, um, where I've had to turn around and say, yeah, that wasn't a good that wasn't a good idea, that wasn't a good choice, and then like after it, like I have to pay for it. Um, I have to pay for it in the loss. I have to pay for it in the having to take the time, the energy, whatever it is to build everything back up that got lost. Um, and it's like when you give something up, um, when you give something up, that is when you forfeit something that you already had that was of value. Like getting it again the second time is not as easy. Um, it is not. Um, yeah. So um, that's a little practical. Um, yeah, it's a little practical on this, and of course, this topic of even just the topic of letting go. Like, there's so many ways we could go with this, um, and at the same time, it is extremely important. I hope I got a good enough of a picture here to at least paint the gravity of this. Um, Otherwise, effectively, that if we don't see this correctly, like we wind up missing out on amazing opportunities that are right in front of us, like that are in our hands already, um, in life. Which to me is more sad. It would be more sad. It's more sad to miss out on something that's already in your hands than to miss out on something that like you're grasping for, reaching for, attaining for, and just don't ever make it to. Um, yeah, that would be the sadder thing. So, yep, that's all I got for today, and glad to be back at this. Um, so I think count wise, I just want to say I've been doing like the count of what episode we're on, and right now I'm just like I think I've reached my max ability to count uh, episodes, somewhere around 20 something. Uh, but anyway, yep. So we'll be back next time, and yeah. Until then, take care.